live, and it, anyway, I don't know why it set me up early. I did not click alive, just so you guys know. And so that you know, if you're watching this after the fact, nobody is on here yet, so I figure I'll take a moment to let you know. If you are watching this in the rerun or review, or whatever it is, if you're watching this after it's live, if you want to see the chat on the side of the screen, see what I am responding to, then you're going to want to wait maybe a day. For some reason, it takes a little while for YouTube to catch up, so I don't know why. All right, so let me try to see myself. There's the, so I can follow along with the chat myself. Hello, I see 2 people here, and I already got a like. Thank you very much. Yeah, I don't know. I was trying to set the live up, and for some reason it started. Dormouse, how are you feeling? I hope you're feeling all right. Let me angle this a little bit more so I can see a little better. It's such a process. See, this was all supposed to be done off camera. Hi, Bev. Hi, Yolanda. Hi, Carol's mom. Nice to see you all, especially after the fiasco 2 weeks ago where I didn't show up. Hi, Kathy. I do apologize. As I said in the message after the fact, I was not feeling all that great. I went down to take a nap. Hi, Roberta. Oh, thank you, Yolanda. Yes, this is the front yard, not the backyard. The backyard's over there. Yes, Kathy, it is nice, but I did check the weather, and they said there is a chance of showers. Fingers crossed that it doesn't happen while I'm out here. But if I suddenly dash into the house and you're seeing a whole scramble, you'll know why. But anyways, yes, I was not feeling well. I mean, and I've been having a few issues, especially with my neck today. But I did go lay down, figured before the live, let me relax a little bit, and I slept right through my alarm. I obviously needed to sleep, but I do apologize. I am feeling better than I was. But, you know, with this, what I'm dealing with, it comes and goes. Sometimes there's rough patches that are really rough. Usually I can get along without it. I mean, without it, yeah, I could definitely get along without it. But usually I can get by. Like, I know how to ride through it now. But every once in a while, it does get a little more intense than... Why is this not updating? I know I'm live. Why isn't it showing me? There I am. All right, not that I want to see myself, but I want to keep up with the chat, make sure that I am accurate in the chat. I am extremely ready for fall. I've already been looking at fall recipes. Of course, pumpkin, one of my favorite things. I found a way of doing a pumpkin protein oatmeal that I'm going to try probably sometime this week. Oh, thank you, Yolanda. I appreciate that. And I've also been, my brother had sent me, I don't know if any of you saw that I was experimenting with making my own like skinny syrups, basically. The first one was good, but it clumped, so I'm going to try another sweetener. But my brother had sent me one for a pumpkin spice that was good, a little more mild. Hey, Ro, and Stephanie. Oh, you two came in together. Isn't that sweet? Anyway, so my brother gave me a recipe. He sent a link to a recipe for pumpkin spice, and I made it. I liked the flavor. It was a little more mild than the other one I had made. It used actual pumpkin and it used pumpkin pie spice. So the texture, like I have it in my coffee cup here, and it's fine until I get down to the bottom, and then you can feel the grit of the pumpkin and the spice, and that is not for me. So I will still be experimenting with that. Hey, Beth. All right, now that being said, I can shift focus and share with you Ro and Stephanie's channels. Since Ro came in first, I'm going, hey, since Ro came in first, that's where I'm gonna share first. And I hope I don't seem rude by looking down, but I can't help it. Hi, Darlene. There is Ro's channel. She is doing whatever works for her at the moment. Sometimes you have to change things up, and that's what she is doing. She's trying to make things work for her. As I always say, nobody's journey is going to be quite like yours. You got to do what you've got to do for yourself. Getting a little cluggy. Not good. Okay, and here is Stephanie's channel. And Stephanie is doing Slimming World, which is kind of the UK version of Weight Watchers. Just they use different processes and things that I don't fully understand because I've never done it. But a lot of it kind of meshes with what we're doing. But she's lost quite a bit of weight and been managing to keep it off for quite some time. Let me get back to Darlene's comment here. I'm going to try a pumpkin roll using cottage cheese flatbread, adding a little sweetener and a pumpkin filling. That sounds interesting. You'll have to let me know how that turns out. I haven't tried the cottage cheese flatbreads. I've heard mixed reviews of them, and it may be dependent on the recipe that people have. But yeah, let me know how that is. You know I love anything pumpkin. Once fall, I mean, I'll have pumpkin any time of the year. I don't care. But especially when all of the flavors are coming out, the bad thing is a lot of those specialty sweets are out, and I always feel compelled to sample them, which is not a good idea. But well, I can't say I've been good. Speaking of not being good, my weigh-in, last week I was down 0.4. This week I'm up 0.2, so I'm basically down 0.2. I really have to rein it in because I know I could do much better if I weren't allowing myself treats that I know I shouldn't have. Oh, for sure, Darlene. It's the same with, any sort of pumpkin roll. Making sure that your cake is, I mean, not that you're doing a cake, but it's the same thing like with a cake. I know when you're doing it with a cake and you're doing a roll, what you have to do is roll it with a towel in it while it's still hot. Then you unroll it once it cools a little bit, so that way it has that shape in its memory, and then you can roll it up more easily. It could still crack. It has before, but that's typically how it's done with a regular kind of pumpkin roll thing or whatever kind of roll, like a Yule log, is once it comes out of the oven, you turn it out onto paper towel, not a paper towel, like a regular kitchen towel, and roll it up. I don't know if that'll work for the flatbread. It may, but if it does crack, that might be something worth trying. I don't know. I do say I have 5 thumbs up. If you wouldn't mind giving me a thumbs up, I would appreciate it. Now my computer's giving me a little Microsoft update thing. I want that gone. But I hope everyone is doing well. I did ask when I was supposed to do the video 2 weeks ago for questions. I've gotten 4. One of them is from Stephanie. Well, kind of 2 of them are from Stephanie. I'll let you know how it is. Yeah, please let me know how that is. Thank you, Roberta. Please do let me know how that is, Darlene. I'd be very curious. Hi, WW Strong. Well, I'm glad you caught my live as well. Ro, I just finished my first week back to Slimming World as an online member only because I can't take a plane to the UK once a week for in-person meetings. I don't see why not. And Stephanie, I'm sure you would agree. You wouldn't mind Ro coming over there and going to a well, you don't go to the meetings either, so what am I talking about? But she could at least visit when she was over there for a meeting, right? But I did ask for questions. I only got 4 this time, so if anyone has any questions for me, feel free to add them into the chat. And where is my list of questions? Here it is. All right, so I didn't put these in any particular order. I would describe Slimming World. Slimwin is the group that we're a part of. Oh, Lynette. Now I know who you are. I didn't recognize WW Strong. I'm used to seeing a Lynette. Okay, so since I did mention the Slimwin group, I know Ro will say, share the group. This is our Facebook group. I have like 3 Facebook groups that I'm part of. The Slimwin group, there's a chat every Monday, 2 p.m. Eastern time, I believe, and 7 p.m. UK time. So let me share that group. It's in the description box. Well, it will be. It's not currently because there's nothing in the description box right now. But paste that. So that's the Slimwin group. We don't just focus on Slimming World. We do whatever kind of weight loss journey you're on. Feel free to join in. It's mostly for support and encouragement. But I would describe Slimming World as being close to WW Purple Plan Simply Filling Plan. I know that Kim from A Girl in Her Phone really enjoyed the Simply Filling Plan. So I don't recall that one. I wasn't on WW at that time. But anyway, let me close this down for a moment and back to the questions. And as I said, if you have a question, just ask it maybe one of these questions will spur a question, but it could be about recipes. It could be about swap outs. Not a question, but could you do a live covering some of your favorite snacks you eat to track? Oh yeah, I could do that. And this was early days. I did do like a sweet and salty snacks video, but that was years ago. Some of those might not even be around anymore for all I know. But yeah, I can definitely do that. I will add that to my list, which of course I don't have right here, but I'll remember to go through. So yeah, the next live, I'll plan on talking about snacks and things like that. Hi, Rhonda. But let me go to the questions. I'm going to start with one from Nikki. Actually, even though she's not here, let me share her channel as well. Nikki in a vlog. She is doing calorie counting, I believe, unless anything's changed. So she's also based in the UK. And let me share her channel here. And of course, Yolanda, no problem. That's one of my big things is snacks. So I totally get that. I think it's a great idea to do that. Because I'm always looking for something to do during live rather than just reading an article or babbling, which you can tell I'm good at. But okay, so to the questions. This first one comes from Nikki, as I said. That's her. What are you doing? Oh, Lord. I'm not great with laptops because I hate that little pad that you have to use as your... Anyway, give me a mouse anytime. Let me take a little drinky poo. All right, so Nikki asked, have you got a top 5 bucket list that you would like to do, either where you want to go or just do? I don't really have a bucket list, at least nothing set. As many of you probably know, if you've been watching for a while, the one thing I've always wanted to do was to write. So I think the only thing really on my bucket list is to finish my book. The book is finished. I have to do the edits. There are other things I want to write as well. So getting back into writing, completing something and actually selling it, that's really the only thing on my bucket list. I don't really care about traveling. I'm not a fan of like packing and no. Day trips are about the extent of it. Like last weekend, we went up to Maine, up to Ogunquit, and actually I'm wearing a shirt my brother got me. Maine, the way life should be. And we went to a show at the Ogunquit Playhouse of Little Shop of Horrors, which is one of my favorite musical movies. And the star, the one who was playing the plant, Audrey 2, was one of my favorite drag queens, Latrice Royale. And the interesting thing about this is typically in that show, there's a puppet for the plant. This time, Latrice and a couple of dancers who were her vines were actually on stage as the plant. It was very good. Loved it. So excited I got to see Latrice. I got to meet with her after the show. She was so nice, so kind. She didn't rush. I've been to meet and greets with other drag queens, and you kind of feel like, okay, come on, we got to keep moving. But Latrice was so gracious. I mean, it was just awesome all around. So, but that was like an overnight. So that I'm okay with, a short trip like that. But travel itself, you know, especially like hours on a plane or in a car. Although I say that, and we do love Montreal. I wouldn't mind going back to Montreal. We usually drive there. And we've also wanted to go to Toronto, where we haven't been yet. So I might do those, but the older I get especially, and with my issues, if I sit for too long, if I do anything for too long. Hi, Rachel. I'm glad you showed up because your question hasn't been asked yet. But okay, my neck's stiffening up. What was I saying? But yeah, I mean, I don't care about travel. If it was like a teleporter where you could just, like Star Trek, right there, okay, I'd go wherever. But it's too much work. So I think I don't have 5 things on my bucket list, but I do have one, and probably the other is to drop the 25, 30 pounds that I've picked up over the past year. Definitely want to get rid of that again very soon. I especially hate when I see like early videos and then I'm like, oh my God, look at the difference. It really makes me more inspired to get back on track. So hopefully I will. Very nice, good for you. I mean, I haven't seen that in the theater before either. I've seen things online on YouTube from theaters, but I haven't personally been in a theater to see it before. So I was so excited when it was coming to someplace nearby, and to know that one of my favorite drag queens was starring in it, definitely had to go. So, and I'm really glad I did. Oh, you have family in Toronto? Yeah, we usually drive when we go up to Canada because, I mean, we're not that far really. If I were living up on the reservation in Maine that we come from, my tribe, the Passamaquoddy tribe, is only about like an hour away from the Canadian border, so it's really quick travel there. It's a little longer for us here in Massachusetts, but definitely better to drive than to worry about taking planes and all that stuff. Let's see. Lynette, I've said the same about travel. Go anywhere. Yeah, for sure, Lynette. It's like trying to pack. My favorite thing about traveling is actually getting home. So, is there really a point? Okay, so that was Nikki's question, which I answered minimally because I really don't have a bucket list except for the writing and the weight loss. The next one is from Allison, who's also part of the Slimwin group. Hi, Roy. If you could give your younger self one piece of advice from all that you've gained so far in life, what would it be? I think, and see, the one problem is, typically, when older people give younger people advice, it's in one ear and out the other because they don't understand yet. If my younger self would take me at my word, I would say, first of all, stop worrying about everything. I've always been very much a worrier of, you know, should I do this? Should I do that? I have constant battles in my head over what I should do. So I think I would just say, stop sweating everything. It's really not that big of a deal. And hopefully I would take my own advice. But like I said, you can tell younger people all sorts of things, but until they've experienced it, I would definitely say to enjoy the moments, relish them. Don't, like, I remember when I was younger, I couldn't wait to get to a certain age. Now I wish I were back at that age and actually took some time to enjoy it, to relish it. I mean, that's all you can really do is just enjoy the moment. So I think that's what I would tell my younger self, not to stress out over everything. And that you do have the ability to do the things you want to do. Oops, I thought the original Kelly was here. Oh. Okay, so that, I believe, answers that question. And Stephanie, who I shared her channel, she asked a question 2 weeks ago and then asked the same question but with a little follow-up this time. Originally it was, what 5 famous people, deceased or living, would you dine with? And then she posted this week as, what 5 famous people would you dine with and what would you serve for a 3-course meal? So you're getting really complicated on me there, Stephanie, because if you know anything about me, I'm not great at planning. Paul will ask me at 4:30 what's for dinner, and I'll say, I have no idea. Because typically I just go on a whim, unless, like tonight, I have a plan for a recipe that I want to do on the channel. Yes, deceased too, I figured, Stephanie. For a Southern style chicken stew. So I know I'm going to do that tonight because I'm testing it. So when I test a recipe, I know what I'm going to make. Otherwise, generally, I don't. So um, that's a hard one to decide. A 3-course meal, never mind just a regular meal. But I think, let's see, 5 people, living or dead. Um, oh, that reminds me of a joke, which may not be, well, it's not really improper. I find it funny, where you ask somebody, like, who living or dead would you like to sleep with? And then it's like, definitely living. I don't, see, I just screwed that up. I know it's written out better than that, but it's like basically that same kind of question, but then you say, well, of course I'd want the person to be living. Anyway, I'm getting off track. My little AD. Hey, Alan, I have your channel up here too, just in case you popped in. So let me get Alan's channel. Now, Alan is also on Slimming World and over in the UK. So this is his channel. Sleep, Marry, and Kiss. Oh my God. Wait, there's Alan's channel before I get distracted by Stephanie's impure question. Sleep, Marry, and Kiss. Isn't it Sleep, Marry, and Kill? Well, sleep is not usually the word I hear, but you would have to give me 3 names to choose from, Stephanie. No worries, Alan. Your dinner comes first. Don't worry about me. I'll be around. I don't care when you get here, as long as you're here. That's all that matters. Sleep. Oh, I know what you mean. That's why I'm saying sleep is not what I typically hear, if you know what I mean. Anyway, back to the question. 5 people, living or dead, I prefer living, who I would dine with. Now, famous people. I know one of them automatically is Stephen King. I love Stephen King. I love his books. I've idolized him since I was a teenager, and I first read Carrie. I've read like Salem's Lot probably 15 times. So Stephen King is definitely on the list. See, again, this might be a tough one, kind of like with the 5 bucket list. I'm trying to think if there's anyone. Oh, okay. This is probably going to count as 2, but more of my favorite. Oh, I love Carrie. The original Carrie. I don't like the remake they did. But the original Carrie, oh my God, I loved it. The original Salem's Lot, which was a TV miniseries, I did not like. But apparently they are going to be coming out with a limited series of Salem's Lot. And I'm really looking forward to that, and I hope that they do it justice, because that is one of my favorite books. Obviously, I've read it 15 times. So Stephen King. 2 others are 2 more of my favorite drag queens, Trixie Mattel and Katya. They kind of come as a pair. I would love to hang out with them. I mean, there are others that I would love to hang out with, but those are like my 2 top favorites. So I would go with them. 2 more. Let's see. Famous people. See, typically I don't care too much about famous people, but I think it would be interesting to have dinner with Barack Obama. I think that would be interesting, because I really do like him. And I guess the last one I would pick is probably the current Pope, just because he's so much more advanced in his thinking than others have been. So I wouldn't mind talking to him. Obviously, I think through an interpreter. I'm not sure how well he speaks English. But I think those would be the ones I can think of off the top of my head. And surprisingly enough, none of them are dead. Um, Now, what would I serve? I guess it would depend on who I was having. Um, I'd do, well, maybe I would do like some sort of soup. Maybe like we have a recipe for a creamy chestnut soup, which is delicious. So I think I might make that for like the starter. For the meal, I don't know. I mean, I'd have to make it something worth these famous people's time. So maybe like a kind of like a Thanksgiving dinner kind of thing where, you know, turkey and all the things make it like a production kind of thing. For dessert, I guess, I have so many things that I like, but again, it would depend on who was coming, and I would definitely check with what their preferences are or what they don't like. Um, but my first thought, of course, is pumpkin pie, just because I love pumpkin pie, or blueberry pie. That's my other favorite. Um, but yeah, maybe some sort of pie. But again, it depends on who's showing up. And then Rachel, here's your question. And she's asking about how I met my partner, Paul. And I know I've talked about this before. Of course, Stephanie, no problem. I know I've talked about this before, but I don't mind talking about it again. Um, Paul and I actually met online. I was working at Mohegan Sun Casino in Connecticut, and I was a chip cashier where you kind of like changed in people's chips for cash. Um, and I would get off at like 2 o'clock in the morning. So I'd go home, I'd play on the computer to like unwind a little bit. And I was looking through some personal ads on some website or other. I mean, this was 24 years ago. So, um, and I saw Paul's picture, but I was interested, but I was like, I'm so tired. I don't want to sit here and write this long thing to somebody. I'm just too tired. So I was afraid to click off of the page because I thought maybe I won't find him again. So let me just send a quick note. And sorry. So I sent him a quick note and just said, listen, I'm really tired, so this isn't going to be long, but I just saw your picture. I just wanted to introduce myself. If you're interested, write back, yada, yada. So he did write back, and that was 24 years ago. So obviously I knew something when I saw that picture that told me I have to respond to this person, even if he doesn't write back. There was just something there. I think some little angel telling me, write to him, write to him. So yeah, that is how we met. We then communicated through emails and phone calls for probably close to 3 months. Thank you, Stephanie. That's me, sweet, you know. So yeah, we probably communicated back and forth for about 3 months before we actually met. Because I was always the type to rush into things and then get my heart broken because I was too invested. Well, I don't think I've told this part on the channel before, and Paul may not be happy to hear me talk about it, but I actually did, after about 3 months of actually dating, because our first date, I came up here to his house. He had family here and stuff, so it wasn't like we were alone and he could be some psychotic killer. I mean, I guess he could have been, but he wasn't. But after about 3 months more, so basically 6 months in, I broke up with him. And the reason is he was doing what I typically did. I would typically cling to people. If they were away from me, I'd get all nervous. I was very insecure. So I was like always, oh, why don't you want to be with me today? Why are you going to go out with your, that kind of clingy crap. That's another thing I would probably tell my former self, my younger self, is cut it out. You'll find them someday. You don't have to be that needy. But anyways, so I was surprisingly not doing any of that, but Paul was. Marilyn, they are starting to change on some of the trees. Like when we were coming back from Maine last week, I did see some red starting, and I do have some yellow on the trees back there. I don't know, maybe I can turn you around and show you. Of course, I won't be able to see what you're seeing, but I don't know if you can see I hope I didn't just make everybody dizzy by doing that. Yes, I do wear my heart on my sleeve. I'm very emotional, typically. Listen, Stephanie, it's lush anywhere I am. That's all I can say. Snap. So anyway, so I was used to being the clingy one. Oh, you were, Alan? Well, see, now I don't feel so bad. I'm in good company. But I think it was partly like growing up, my father was never around. He was an alcoholic. My parents got divorced when I was very young. My father I'm getting like into therapy here. My father would say he was coming to see us and then not show up. He would call every Sunday, supposedly. Most of the times he wouldn't. I was the only one who would wait for his calls. So I think that carried on into my relationships, where I was expecting men not to, do what they were going to say. They would lie. They would tell me things and not follow through. So I think I carried that into my relationships. Anyway, from there, I was actually the more sensible of them. Thank you, Stephanie. I appreciate that. Long time ago, water under the bridge, but at the time it wasn't pleasant. But also not pleasant was that I carried it through, and that's another thing I guess I'd tell my younger self is let it go. But so early in our relationship, I started feeling that from Paul. I was used to being that person. So then I suddenly saw, sorry, my neck. So then I suddenly saw what I had been doing to other people, and I didn't like the feeling. I felt responsible for his happiness, and I was like, oh, I can't do this. So I actually broke up with him. What turned it around was my mother was still in contact with him, and they went out with my sister's ex to like just go shopping or something, and they were talking, and so my mother kind of convinced me maybe give him another shot. So I did. Oh yeah, Stephanie, I mean, I don't get it, but everyone's got their struggles. My father, as I said, was an alcoholic. That was more alluring to him than being around his kids, apparently. So, everyone's got their struggles, and I understand that now. At the time, I didn't so much, but my father and I, see, I'm going off on tangents here, but anyways, I did mention Paul and I broke up. We did get back together. My mother kind of pushed us back together, and I'm glad she did. Of course, now I forgot what my other comment was going to be that was distracting me. Oh, so anyway, about my father. We would, yeah, she often gloated about that. And she really loved Paul. Paul loved her. When she was in the hospital, we went to visit her, and he was like very sweet. He took a rag and he was cleaning her lips because they looked very dry, and he was very good to her. He's very good to me too. So, but back to my father. Now that we're going down history lane, I guess. So we ended up being in communication later in life. I mean, not later, but like when I was in my 20s or so. And we would talk periodically, but I never told him anything about my personal life because I knew he was very racist, he was homophobic, all of that stuff. So I kept it to myself until I got into a relationship with someone else who I thought, stupid me, was going to be the one that was going to last forever. So I thought, my father's going to call here because I was living with him. I don't want him to be like, who is that? And be like, oh, it's my roommate. So I wrote him a letter that said, I want you to know this is who I am. The person who may answer the phone is my boyfriend, yada, yada, yada. So he wrote back a rather scathing reply, eventually, saying that he couldn't believe I would make such a stupid mistake with my life, that this is how racist he was. He'd say, the only thing worse is a black man dating a white woman, and she should be so horribly disfigured that no one would want her again. I mean, this is what I was dealing with. So, obviously, we did not communicate after that for a very long time. We did, shortly before he passed away, we did reconcile. He apologized. He met Paul. He loved Paul. We all went out to one of the casinos. Oh, I agree, Stephanie, but yeah, for sure, Ro. But I mean, you know what? It's like I just shared a thing recently that said, if someone hasn't walked in your shoes, don't let them tell you how to tie your laces, kind of thing, which I thought, thank you, Stephanie. But anyway, so my father and I, like I said, we did reconcile. He met Paul. He loved Paul. So as he got older, things were improved. So, we got to reconcile before he passed. And I mean, that's all I could really ask for. But now that's out of my head. Does anyone have any questions or anything? I mean, like I said, it could be recipe related. It could be whatever. Because, I could ramble forever, but I forgive him. I don't forget it, but I do forgive him because, honestly, I think that forgiveness is more for me and less for him. It's more for me letting it go. It's not that I'm saying, oh, he was fine to do that, no worries. It was more for me to be like, I don't have to worry about that, We all carry our baggage into our relationships and dump them in the middle of the floor and think we're going to make it work. You're right, Barbara, for sure. Um, and the older I've gotten, the less important those things are to me now. So, um, but everyone's got their stories. That's why never, you know, hi, Chris, no worries. Yard work comes first. Marilyn, I am doing a test recipe that I'm hoping to share on the channel for a Southern style chicken stew. Hopefully it comes out well. I'm going to serve it over rice because it should be low enough in bites and points that rice is definitely on the table, but cauliflower rice would work just as well. Hopefully it comes out well. Let me get rid of this Word document now that I've answered all of the questions. Oh, Stephanie, hold on. I'll get to that in a second. Ro, I love that shoelace thing that you posted. Perfectly said. I'm happy to hear that you were able to reconcile with your dad before he passed. I agree that forgiveness benefits us, but forget is so hard. Yeah, I don't forget because I've made the mistake of, oh no, Lynette, I don't want to disappoint you. I shouldn't say Southern style, but that's what I'm basing it on, is recipes I've seen that call themselves Southern style. So I hope I don't disappoint with that Southern style comment. But yeah, forgetting, I don't forget. It's like, for me, I can't, well, Lynette, you say that, but you never know. See, my mind. Yeah, forgetting, that's not, I'm not going to do that. I don't understand these people who get, like, their partner has an affair and they get back with them. I personally, that I could forgive, as far as I don't want that on my shoulders anymore. But to forget it, I could never forget that. And I would always be thinking it's going to happen again. Yeah, Barbara, yeah, we have right across down the road is a gun club. So the woods across the street, I shouldn't have stretched that way. I just gave myself a spasm in my thigh. But yeah, across the street, there's all sorts of gunfire. We actually have a neighbor who's a little out there, who started up a petition because she could hear the noise of the shots and she wanted to stop it. It's a gun club right up the street. Nothing's happening. They're just sounds, but it doesn't bother me. But yes, Barbara, there was our gunshots in the background. Let's see. Sounds good. Yolanda, I made cake with applesauce instead of oil. It tasted weird. Did I do something wrong? Did you do this swap? I have done that, Yolanda. Sometimes it can change the flavor of it. That's why I prefer using pumpkin, because I think pumpkin's a little more subtle in the flavor. But I mean, I have used applesauce, so I'm not sure. It depends on also what, like, was it a cinnamon applesauce or, you know, I wouldn't be surprised, Stephanie. She could be a Karen for all I know. She and her husband, we used to have a long time ago, we used to have dogs that we kept outside, and they were like huskies, and, you know, I forget what the other one was, like Pichon, or I don't know, something like very furry dogs. So we had a little gated area outside with their little houses and stuff that they could be in. Well, the neighbors took it upon themselves to come over here and throw hay all over the bottom of the thing. We didn't ask you to do that. It's not your right to do that. So we ended up putting up no trespassing signs, and they got the hint. They never came back over. But luckily, we're in a wooded area. We're a little spaced away. Oh, for sure, Stephanie. We're like, where the hell did this straw come from? And we realized the neighbors. But hopefully I answered your question, Yolanda, because I've used applesauce without any problem before. So I don't know if it was a cinnamon flavored applesauce, if something was, I mean, I guess it could depend on the brand. Why do I have something in my eye at the moment? But yeah, I've never had a problem. But if you do have a problem with it, you can try. See, I don't use mashed banana, which is another option, only because it tends to give more of a banana flavor to whatever it is. Not that that's bad, but it's not always what you're looking for. So I prefer pumpkin because it seems milder to me. Some people, I guess, might be more sensitive to the taste of pumpkin. Although pumpkin, if there's no pumpkin pie spice in it, doesn't really taste much like pumpkin or what you think of as pumpkin. But you might want to try that if, and maybe that will help Yolanda. But I don't know. I thought I had something in my head, you know, in one ear, out the other, whatever. See, I'm getting down to the dregs of that where there's the grittiness from the pumpkin and the spice. Yeah, give that a try, Yolanda. I find that to work better personally, but and I use canned pumpkin or tinned pumpkin, Stephanie. I'm not going through all that to make pumpkin myself. It's so much easier to just grab a can. I have done it. It's just so much work. I can buy a can. It's usually cheaper. So, yeah, I always use canned. It doesn't matter to me. I am not hoity-toity. I don't have to do everything from scratch. I mean, for the most part, I do cook things from scratch. I don't use a lot of pre-made things. Yeah, it's just so much easier, Chris, than, I mean, it's such a turmoil. Oh, I think you did mention that in one of the chats at one point, Stephanie, about making pumpkin pie. And I did tell you I had a recipe for it. Wink, wink. But yeah, I love pumpkin pie. Is my absolute favorite pie next to blueberry. If I had to choose, I mean, it depends on my mood, really. But that creaminess of a pumpkin pie. See, now I'm getting, anyway, distracting myself here. But yeah, I am looking at some pumpkin recipes that I can do for fall. I'll also throw in some apple somewhere. Pear, I've done pear before. So yeah, I'll definitely be working on some pumpkin recipes because I just got my hair cut. See, I'm so easily distracted. Thank you, ADD. But yeah, I'm going to work on some more pumpkin things. I am doing another test of the coffee syrups. Actually, when I was talking to Paul about making coffee syrups, oh, Lynette, anything pumpkin, I'm all in. Sometimes I'm disappointed, but I'll try it anyway. Um, but yeah, I am trying a pumpkin protein oatmeal, and it's not going to use protein powder. It's actually going to use an egg incorporated. So I'm going to try that, see how that works, and I may be sharing that soon if it works well. Um, oh, so anyways, I was telling Paul when he saw me working on the stove and it wasn't dinner time, and he said, "What are you making?" And I said, "A coffee syrup," because I'm used to just pouring like the skinny syrups or whatever into my coffee. So that's what I call them. So he thought, because he loves the coffee syrup, I forget the name of the brand. I mean, there are a couple, but there's one in particular he likes that you would like add it to milk, kind of like you would with like the chocolate syrup and stuff as a kid. So he thought that's what I was making. So I think I'm going to also try to make one of those as well. If this other, I don't, maybe that is it. The one I'm thinking of, Lynette, comes in like a yellow bottle, I believe, and it's usually fairly tall. We have one in the refrigerator. Haven't used it in a little while, so it may not be good anymore because it's so big. That's why I prefer to make a smaller batch if I can. Um, but so I think for him, I'll also try experimenting with that if the other syrups work. The problem with the first one, I used the all-purpose in the raw, which melted fine. If any of you saw the before pictures, it looked clear, it looked great. Once it cooled down, it crystallized. Supposedly, allulose won't do it. And it crystallized even though I put some xanthan gum in it, which was supposed to prevent it from crystallizing. So I'm not going to do that again. But I am going to use allulose this time because supposedly allulose doesn't crystallize like that. So we'll see. I want to make sure that you can, I mean, I could use the other one and it was fine. I just had to stir it up and it was delicious. But I wanted to make something that looked a little more shelf stable. I'd like to try pumpkin spice in a drink. I've tried pumpkin beanies coffee. Yeah. Pumpkin, I add it to my coffee all the time. There are a bunch of recipes for like pumpkin lattes and things like that. So usually most of them are pretty good. Not all of them, but usually most of them are. Oh yeah, what a ding dong. I'm like, oh, I can check my phone and see what that coffee syrup's called. Guess where my phone is? I don't know, sometimes. All right, so if you haven't given me a thumbs up, I'd appreciate that. But we're almost at an hour. I started early for some reason. I was setting it up. I didn't hit go live, but it went live anyway. Stephanie, there is no help for me. I'm 61. This is what you're going to get. I tell that to Paul all the time. He'll always say, thank you, Stephanie. Paul will always say, what did I do to deserve this when I do something silly or whatever? I will say, you wrote back. If you didn't write back, none of this would be happening. Thank you, Stephanie. Yeah, I'll be 62 in December. I mean, this gray hair ain't from nothing. Although it does look a little weird. I did, like I said, I got it cut and now I should have put a gel in it or something. Anyways, I'm distracting. Oh yes, I'm so young. No, I don't feel December 5th. That is when I will be 62. Although, early on in our relationship, going back to Paul, we were talking about my birthday, and he was like, December 8th, right? And I said, no, it's December 5th. So now the big joke is every year when my birthday's coming up, so what are we going to do on December 8th for your birthday? Encourageable. Thank you, Ro. Yeah, I like it. It just needs to be a little tame because I get very flyaway hair. My hair tends to be a little dry. But, oh, it is, Beth? Oh, so I have a birthday twin. I used to work with a woman whose birthday was just the same as mine, so we called ourselves the birthday twins. Ian is 62, Stephanie. I just turned 63. My mom keeps telling me I'm getting gray. She'll be 98 next month. I hope I live as long as your mom, Chris. Because I got things I want to do. I'm not ready. You know, not putting that out into the universe. That is awesome, Stephanie, 98. I'm impressed. My parents were in their 70s when they passed, so I'm hoping to break that curse. Not curse. It's a fact of life, but you know what I mean. I'm hoping I can go beyond the 70s, get into the 80s at least. Give me another 20, 30 years. Okay, well, we've been over an hour, and like I said, I did accidentally start early because for some reason Facebook had me go live before I hit go live. Oh, you don't know. I could be going somewhere. But I do plan on haunting people when I do go, so I won't be gone. I'll just be less visible. Thank you, Roberta. I hope you guys enjoyed our little visit today. Thank you, Lynette. And I will be having a snack list on the live in 2 weeks. So I will have a topic there. Oh, that's right. The update on the repairs. I did see that earlier. There is no update. We got a quote from the contractor, which is very high, we think. Paul submitted it to the insurance. So now we have to wait and see if they're going to approve it. So we are still in limbo. I'm still having to try to do my videos, my recipe videos, while he's on the computer with headphones on, so he's not making too much noise. Although I do hear him tip-tap typing, but it's not distracting, I don't think. Thank you, Ro. Yeah, so hopefully they're going to approve this outrageous price. They should, because let me tell you one thing. Like, I have to keep going. We got a thing from the insurance company about the reno, like when the demo where they had to take everything down. That was like $5,000. They have a storage thing out here that they transported all of our furniture into, and transporting the furniture into this little, whatever you call it, $8,000. I don't know if part of that is probably for the rental on that thing, but I'm like, how is that more expensive than then demoing 2 rooms? Crazy. So if they didn't balk at that, I'm hoping they don't balk at this contractor's price, because we really need to get this all sorted out and get back into our regular routine so I can do my videos without having to worry about disturbing Paul or what have you. This last video I actually did in the morning before he got up and before he had to start work at 10 o'clock. So it's a juggling act, but I'm trying to get those videos out there for you. That's why some of them might seem a little shorter than usual, which is probably a good thing, because I'm trying to rush and get them done within a certain amount of time. But Who knows? But we do have a collab coming up the end of September for slow cooker meals. Oh, really, Lynette? Yeah, we only got interrupted here by gunshots. So, you know, everyone's got their cross to bear. But anyways, I hope that you guys enjoyed this, and I had a good time hanging out with you guys. I'm glad I'm feeling better. I didn't sleep through this one. So fingers crossed, 2 weeks from now, when we talk about snacks and things, hopefully I don't sleep through that either. But I guess I will leave you guys there unless anyone has any other questions and get these bugs away from me. So I guess I will see you guys next time. Bye.